Before we begin, this episode does include themes of suicidal ideations. If this is triggering for you, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14, or if you're outside of Australia, please find your local helpline. Your wellbeing matters and support is available. You alluded to the first year of your transition where you stopped playing football, but then you also were talking around the content space. And mate, to be honest, I'd really like to zoom in on that time because I know a lot of players do struggle with this. And I know you've spoken about it before. I got to watch the LSKD documentary, Don't Wait, which, to be honest, man, was an incredible documentary. It was one of the coolest things. I remember Michaela sent it to me, I think just before it was going to go live, and I'll never forget where I was. I was in Coogee in the main street, and I was listening, especially to your part of it, because that's what interested me the most. But I'd never seen a side of you that was so like vulnerable, and to be honest, I didn't know what you were going through, and it made me think. And to be honest, like I'm fucking crying in the street of Coogee because it was so vulnerable. I'd love to zoom in on that time of your life, if you're willing to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a extremely tough time. You know, I was juggling whether I wanted to keep playing and build a business. And obviously 2020 I was still in the NRL. We took the massive 50% pay cut.
Yeah.
You know, and my bills still stayed the same, you know. So 2020 was, you know, really tough because we did lose half our money. We had, you know, investments and stuff like that we were trying to pay off. So I ate most of our savings up that year, just trying to cover the bills. And then the following year, you know, starting a business, trying to cover the same bills with nowhere near as much money that I was getting on footy. And it just got to a point, you know, we had no savings left. I, you know, pretty much used all my retirement money in that 1 year, just trying to stay afloat. We were so lucky that my dad let us live with them for a couple of years, because if we didn't have that, I honestly don't know what we would have done. And the hardest thing, we were speaking about it earlier, but the hardest thing as a dad is you feel like you're the provider for the family. And I felt like I couldn't do that. And that was a really tough thing to kind of go through. And I'll always remember there was this conversation. Jess and I were outside a photo shoot, and something had happened, and we were arguing, and it got to a point where I just snapped, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. We've got no money left. It was so hard, and I snapped at her, and and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have let her in on what I was going through, and I didn't. And looking back now, that was, you know, extremely on me, but I didn't want to bring her into, you know, the financial problems that we were going through. Sorry. And that was, looking back and reflecting on that was probably something that, you know, I've done better over the last few years when there has been like lull periods. And being a videographer and creator, you know, we do have these fluctuations and you know, and money coming in and going out. So, I'm a lot more open with Jess, but that first year was so hard, and it was such a hard juggle. You know, getting into the camera space, not being an essential worker, so I couldn't work. I was still learning the processes of taking deposits for photo shoots and weddings and stuff like that. I wasn't taking any deposits, and obviously weddings were getting cancelled because they couldn't have them, which was fair on them. There's no you know, no hate towards the couples, but I wasn't taking any deposits. I was blanking out all these weekends, and then I wouldn't have any work, and I was just like, what am I going to do? So that was a really, really tough time in my life. And I've dealt with it a lot better now. And she was a dark time for sure.
Because I know, mate, transitioning out of football is going to be like tricky regardless. It doesn't matter if you're on like the biggest contract or if you're even on minimum wage, like it's always going to be tricky.
Yeah.
But your situation was so unique because we were in COVID, we were still playing, but we had a 50% pay cut. But then clubs weren't signing anyone. Like clubs went on a full because they didn't know what the next year was going to look like. And so I remember there was a heap accrued that like just if you didn't have a contract, if you were off contract that year, no one was getting signed. And so how do you? And I think probably a lot of anxiety, or a lot of guys that I was talking to, they had a lot of anxiety because it was just uncertain.
Yeah.
Are we going to play? Do I have to go back on the tools? Like, am I going to have to lug brick? Like, what does that look like? And so I look at your situation where it's just like, eating through your financials, right? And to be honest, man, financial and relationships are two of the biggest contributors of male suicide between ages 17 and 44.
Yeah.
Financial and relationships.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they go hand in hand. And so when I look at your situation, like naturally that is going to be an incredibly tough and dark time.
Yeah.
Because it was such a unique situation.
Yeah. It was a really tough time. Like obviously being in financial, hardship, it took a huge toll. And there were thoughts like, I've got my life insurance, like, will my kids still get that if I commit suicide or something like that? Sorry.
You good, bro? Do you want to say?
Nah, I'm sweet. Like those are the thoughts that were going through my head, But one thing I have learned through business, with the ebbs and flows of business, that you'll always come out of that period, and it's something that footy's taught me a lot of. But the hardest thing about footy was, you were going through those ebbs and flows of injuries and stuff like that, but you're always getting paid. Like there was never worry about financials and stuff like that. I was out for a whole year, I was still getting paid. Whereas like in the real world, that doesn't happen. So there was some dark times, and I'm just grateful that it's taught me a lot about what I can do and things I need to do to kind of keep me out of that.
Mate, thank you so much for sharing, bro. Like that's it's incredible, and I know it's hard, man. It's hard to be so open and vulnerable like that. So I already have a huge amount of respect for you. Like once I saw the documentary, but for coming on and being so open, because mate, there would be so many people going through exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that you can come on, because you're obviously so influential in community, like. It's like, well, we can hear Geordie talk through it. And what I'm really keen to, I guess, understand is just like, well, where do you go to next? Like you said, you talked about that time about the life insurance and with your kids and with your family. Like, where do you go next? Like, how do you navigate? Because you're here now and you're from the outside looking in, it looks like you're thriving.
Yeah.
What are the steps you took? Like, how do you get out of that space?
I was like, that moment I snapped to Jess was probably the best thing I could have done, because she was like, I didn't know this. Like, you didn't tell me. So like, just like that weight off my shoulders helped a lot. Like just telling her. I mean, and I know a lot of people don't probably have that person, but there's someone there that will listen. All you got to do is tell one person your problems, to relieve that stress and get it off your shoulders, and just to like, because there's so many people going through exactly the same thing that you are. I shared a couple of things a couple of weeks ago about being a parent and heading into Christmas and how it can be scary. I didn't share it because it's scary for us, but I've been there and I know how scary Christmas can be when you're like, shit, how am I going to pay for the bills? As well as treating my kids for Christmas, That was like, a few tough years there where I was thinking that. So like sharing that stuff on my social media, it's not me asking for sympathy. It's me sharing it so I know, so other people out there that are feeling the same thing and the same pressures understand that they're not alone. And I feel like when people get into those dark holes that I've been in, you feel so lonely and you just feel like no one understands and no one else can see what you're going through. But there's so many people out there that are going through, exactly the same thing, and they might have that person to talk to, or they might have someone to talk to. That you think you don't, but there's always someone. There's always someone that's going to be willing to listen, and that weight off your shoulders after just talking to someone and telling them your problems, you're not going to weigh them down. And I feel like that was something that I went through a lot. Is I didn't want to weigh Jess down as well with my problems, whereas both of us could have been carrying the load to make it a little bit lighter. And now it's helped so much being able to talk to Jess and being really open, especially with our financial, problems, has been something that's helped me a lot.
It's like a problem shared is a problem halved.
100%, yeah, it's so true.
I remember when I heard that, I was just like, that is incredible. And then and to be honest, like I think I've been similar to you in a sense, growing up, not wanting to share certain things because it's like the blokey thing to do, and we get taught not to share. But then once you've done it a couple times and you've been in a super dark place and you think you can't get out, or you can't see the way, and it's tough and it's shit, and to be honest, mate, it's an awful place to be. But then once you do share, whether that is with a friend, a family member, psychologist, I know there's a lot of people who don't feel like they have that person, but there are some incredible helplines, Lifeline, Movember, like there are some incredible helplines that you can call and you can talk to.
Yeah.
Go see your GP to get a mental health plan, to be able to talk to a psychologist. You've got 6 to 10 free sessions there. Yeah. And these are the things, like I'm conscious that we are privileged, that we have incredible people in our lives. I know that, we know that, but a lot of people don't think they have it, or they think they can't talk to that person. It's just like there are solutions out there.
Yeah.
Mental health plans. Go talk to your GP. Like go talk to Lifeline. You can call them. It's a free call. I think those things are super important. Just to know that you've got them in your back pocket.
100%. Yeah. So helpful.
Mate, I'm so grateful. Mate, to be honest, I'm so grateful. Like, the fact that you're coming on here, I think it's a beautiful place, and I think that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be hearing this and be like, you know what, I feel like I'll be able to navigate it out.
Yeah.
And the fact, and even the whole thing. And do you think you and Jess, having gone through that situation, do you think it brings you like closer together?
Yeah, definitely. We're like the best we've ever been right now. You know, like we never get sick of each other. You know, you hear these couples that are like, you know, I can't wait for my husband to go to work, or I can't wait for my partner to get out of the house, or something like that. Like we would sit together and do everything together, like without anyone or whatever.
16 years later, man.
Bro. Yeah, I know. Like we just love each other's company, you know. We'd do anything, all the fun things that I do. It just doesn't feel as fun if she's, you know, her and the kids aren't there. So we're in a great place, and we're like, never been stronger.